corners of the blanket fold up and match so that you can see that if you turn around.
Wow. Hi.
I'm Tom.
I'm Joy.
We're the Rightlaners.
And we are in our campsite at Jacob Lake National Park Campground.
That's right.
It's a beautiful campground and we'd like to give you a little review. Here's our campsite. It's a great big site, picnic table, fire pit. We have no neighbors on the side. There's the camp host not far away. And we have no neighbors behind us. So this is spot number 51, great spot.
No neighbors to the right, left of us. Here's some of the sites. They're open. Joy's making sound on the gravel.
So spot 51 has very few neighbors. It's 51 out of 51 spots here at this park. There's an amphitheater. Looks like they can show movies. They have clean restrooms, clean sites, very large. Number 21 would be good for solar. Some have partial shading. There are all kinds of pull-through sites along the sides. We are at Jacob Lake Campground. Vehicle limitations. But the sites are really large. I don't think anybody any size would have a problem here. And right down that road is Grand Canyon, North Rim.
All this area over here is owned by the Rich family. We got to listen to a talk about the Navajo Indians from John Rich. His family came here in what, 1920s and built all this, and they still own it today. 5th generation they're on. 3rd generation's running it, but they're on their 5th generation. 4th generation's working here, I'm sure, maybe even the 5th.
And we're at the junction, or the curve, on 89A. So that way comes from Page. Popular bus stop. The information center is right over there. And that goes... 89A goes to here.
Couple steps back.
Here's the park. It's very beautiful. Green grass and wildflowers. So the elevation at this campground is 7,900 feet. And it's warm, but it's quite comfortable and cool compared to Page. So we picked this spot. You picked it because
it's the only available place near the north rim of the Grand Canyon. The campgrounds at the Grand Canyon were full, and this was in proximity halfway between Grand Canyon and Page, and we could more centrally located.
And we didn't want to stay in Page and drive all this way to the Grand Canyon since we're going to be going through here on our way out anyway. So it worked out really well. And there you can see our camp spot is fairly hidden in the trees. It's a very nice site. So there's 51 spots here and it is practically deserted on this Monday morning before Labor Day weekend.
We got here on, when was it? What day did we get here? Wednesday?
Thursday.
Thursday, and it was almost full.
Yeah. And we're leaving today too, so.
We're out of here.
And as I say, she can tell you who the mother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother of each of those sheep is. And this wool she's hand-carded, hand-spun, and hand-woven herself. So if you're looking for a message in this textile, see, here's the life of May Morgan in one simple weaving. We know because this is a blanket from the old days. This is a third phase chief blanket. If you'll take that corner. It was woven sometime before 1870, so 150 years ago. You can see that it's big enough that you could fold it over your shoulder. You could ride all day or walk all day. When you got to where you wanted to camp that night, you could lay your blanket down on the ground and lie down on half and pull the other half over you and keep you warm and dry all night. Remember, wool has natural lanolin in the wool, so a well-woven blanket would shed water. And even when it's soaking wet, wool still retains about half of its insulating ability. So they were wonderful things to have. Now we need to do one more thing. Take this about halfway down in that white deal and let it fold back. And then we need to take it about right there and about right there, and then you'll just come and stand in front of me. You can let your aft go. Turn around now. You can see that she had a sense of style. If you look, the corners of the blanket fold up and match so that you can see. Now if you turn around.
Wow. Wow.
Let me show you what they were looking at.
Oh, wow.
This is an example of a Navajo dress. This is a modern one, but a dress like this could have been woven any time in the last 150 years or so. You can see it's two halves, identical to each other. They're woven at separate times on an upright loom just like this. You can see she was paying attention because it matches up even from one half to the other. This one was woven sometime in the past by a woman named Sarah Soule. And I've known Sarah all my life. My grandparents traded with her parents. This is Sarah seated in her wheelchair. This is Joanne, she's the translator, the driver and everything. Sarah is one of the most famous pictorial weavers there is. There are 5 good books to buying weaving, guidebooks to buying weaving on the Navajo reservation. Sarah has weaving in 3 out of the 5. And one of the deer had gray antlers and the other one had lavender antlers. So I asked Joanne if there was some special significance to lavender antlers. She looked at me like I was nuts and said, well, Grandma can't see. She just graduated from high school this spring. She outgrew the dress, and so Grandma had to weave her another one. Hasn't changed much in the last 6 years. Here in the center, they told me that that design represented the hogan, the traditional Navajo home. Then we got into the 60s and 70s. I can see by hair color that some of us in here remember that period. Well, some of you may not remember it. I don't know what you were doing back then. You might have just floated through into the 80s. But anyway, for you younger people, things were much more cosmic back then. And so they started saying this design in the center represented the center of the universe, because that sounded groovier. Came in with this really unusual weaving, and he said, you know, I've never seen a design like that. He says, what do you call that design? She said, that's a Helen B. Gay design. Said, a group of Navajo women is doing something that's never been done before. They're creating their own style of weaving. This is by the youngest sister. This is by Sandy B. Gay. Sandy wants you to know that she knows how things are supposed to be done. Because you're supposed to begin saying your prayers when the sky first turns purple. So Sandy wants you to know that she knows how things are supposed to be done. Here's the sky first turning light in the east. She begins her weaving with 2 stalks of corn. As I said, it's the most important of the 4 sacred plants used in every ceremony. She wanted you to know that even though she weaves other stuff now, she can still weave a 2 gray hills. So she wove a complete 2 gray hills inside its own border. She even put in a spirit line. Back when the traders were first converting the Navajos to weaving rugs rather than blankets, they told them that a rug has to have a border. But remember, the blankets never had borders. Navajos believe that if you enclose your spirit, your creativity, inside a border, eventually you won't be able to think of new patterns. And so they leave a pathway for their spirit to move in and out of the weaving. And that's what that white line is. Still, it's pretty simple 2 gray hills, and she doesn't want you to think she could just weave easy stuff. So she wove another 2 gray hills. Again, inside its own border. Again, surrounded by eagle feathers. But this one's a little more complicated. She wants you to know she can weave the hard stuff too. But then she thought, you know what, this came out so well. What if they think that I programmed some machine to do this? She wants you to know that real human beings make these things. So she wove a picture of Helen and Sandy, both of them with their hair tied up in a queue behind, both of them wearing traditional jewelry, traditional necklaces, each carrying a rug, so you know that they were weavers, traditional moccasins. But then she thought, you know what, I want them to realize that I know that there were people in my past that made it possible for me to be a weaver today, that I'm part of a legacy. And so she wove their shadows back behind so you could see that she's connected with those people too.
Well, it's been fun. See you on down the road.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe.